Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, my friends. This is Luiz Lima here, directly from Orlando, Florida. Welcome once again to Kardec Radio. This is Spiritism, a closer look. We do this program every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We have an interesting subject for tonight. Tonight, we're going to take a closer look at punishment and reward. Very interesting subject. This is something that is part of the Spirits book. It is on part four of the Spirits book. Part four has it's been entitled "Hopes and Consolations." In part four, chapter two, which is labeled "God's Intervention in Punishments and Rewards." There are two questions in this chapter two, in this segment, questions number 963 and 964. And that's what we are going to discuss today a little bit. Let's talk about it. Let's develop some ideas here. So I'm going to start with the one of the questions themselves. We're going to read through what the answer is. Allan Kardec puts a lot of comments on that answer, and we are going to go from there. So, question. This is Allan Kardec asking the highly evolved spirits. Must God be concerned with each of our actions in order to reward or punish us? Continues, still part of the question. Aren't most of such actions insignificant to God? That's the question. So the question is about, how punishment and reward happen. Basically, that's the goal behind the question. So I'm going to read what the answer is from the spirits, and then we're going to pull out some interesting parts of the answer and make comments on it. So the answer is God has established the divine laws that regulate all your actions. Your meaning us. That's the spirits talking about us. If you violate them, the fault is yours. Obviously, when people commit an excess, God does not pronounce sentence on them by saying, for example, you are a glutton and I'm going to punish you. But God has set a limit. Maladies and sometimes death are the consequences of excess. Thus, the punishment, it results from breaking a law. Everything happens this way. Okay, I just read the answer. So now we're going to go back and start, digging in and pulling out some information. So the answer starts, God has established divine laws. Okay, so the first thing we have to have in mind, this is Spiritism. So God is the God as defined by Spiritism. If you try to read this through and allow yourself to attach God to any other definition, classic definition, evangelical definition, any other definition than Spiritism, it's going to be a problem because you're not going to be able to grasp the sense. God here is not a human being and this old man sitting on a throne or anything like that with a trident waiting to hit you or something. This is not it. This is fundamental to understand this and any other answer within the Spirit's book that makes any mention of God. So God is the supreme intelligence. The first cause of all things is not a person, is not human, does not have human passions, does not have emotions. It's this infinite, universal, superior force, if you will. We can't see as a person. We can't think of it as even a superior person, much, much more higher in terms of superiority than us. It won't work because that's not the God that Spiritism teaches us. So it is infinite force, this infinite intelligence. So coming back to the answer, God has established the divine laws that regulate your actions. So the divine laws have been established. How can I change them? I can't, you can't, none of us. None of us. So we cannot change the laws. If we don't like it, invariably we are going to break the law, and there are consequences. That's why they say if you violate them, the laws, the fault is yours. The fault is not of the law. The law, such as God, is immutable, eternal. So if I break the law, the problem is not the law, the problem is me. They continue, right? Obviously, when people commit an excess, God does not punish them in the sense, and that's when the difference between punishment in the classical sense and spiritual sense start to change. God does not punish as a human punishment, like a father, for example, punishes a son, or a daughter, or a mother does the same thing. That's not it, because that kind of punishment is based on emotions. It is so that a child, for example, might be something that you think it's wrong, and they get a punishment right on the spot. Let's say 2 weeks later, they do the very same thing, and your punishment is not the same because the emotional charge at that very moment might not be the same. So you're having a better day. So your punishment is still going to be light. It's going to be like more like a counseling, or you can have a very bad day the day before, and in that moment, you might just, discharge everything you're feeling on your child for a punishment. That's mutable. This is not happening here. There's no punishment in the sense of a human punishment. But God has set a limit, meaning you can break the law, you know, as many times as you want, but there are consequences. So there's a cutoff for all of this. When you reach the cutoff point, there will be worse consequences. Maladies and sometimes death are the consequences of excess. So we break the law one time, twice, three times, four times, and so on and so on. There's a point where the body can't take that law breaking cycle anymore. And we are going to have illnesses. We're going to feel, we're going to undergo maladies and health problems and all of those. And they conclude saying punishment results from breaking a law. Punishment does not come from your neighbor, from your family member, from your boss, from your work colleague. No, it comes from breaking a law. So, first thing that, just to recap, first thing, God has to be understood in depth according to the Spiritist definition of God. It's not a person that thinks it's better than me. No, this is not the God we're talking about. And the other thing that which is the end of the message, is illnesses are consequences of too much wrongdoing. So illnesses or maladies, as the spirits, they use the word maladies here, I can't complain. You see, it's not the law breaking me. It's me breaking the law. The trouble is on me. I need to make sure that I understand this before keep breaking the law several times a day. Right? So God is this universe, sets the equilibrium or balance on the universe. But every time we break the law, we touch on that balance or the equilibrium. So the consequences will exist. every law has, states its consequences in itself, and such is that the law, the divine law. That's the answer from the spirits. Then Allan Kardec is going to bring some comments. He's going to put some comments himself. We're going to read through and analyze here as well. So he says, all our actions are subject to the laws of God. No news there. No matter how unimportant they seem to us, they could still be a violation of those laws. You see, for God, you cannot put a price or a weight on violation. Violation is violation. One of the when I was in my younger days, I went once to a driver's license court. I was in there, and one guy, he got a ticket, and he was arguing with the judge and the people in the court, and he started raising his voice, and the judge said, sit down, sir, listen to me. I have a ticket here that you were doing 80 miles an hour in a location that you can only go 65. Don't raise your voice to tell me you were doing not 80 miles an hour but 70, because you're still above 65. So you're still breaking the law. It's still violation. So that's what they're saying here. If you went over 5 miles an hour or 10 miles an hour or 35 miles an hour, it might change your punishment in terms of human laws. You might pay more for having a higher speed. But in all these cases, it's still a violation. And the violation becomes obvious because the law never changes. The laws of God never change. So we always know, sorry, when we are violating, we always know. It never changes. Like, for example, in transit and driver license, you're driving on an area that maximum limit is, let's say, 35 miles an hour. You change to another road that is 50 now, so it varies. It's hard to keep track of what is the limit. So it's easier to violate the law. Not here. Not here. So violation is violation. We are the ones that qualify. Oh, there was a huge violation. Even the unimportant, to our knowledge, violations are still violations. Allan Kardec continues, if we suffer the consequences of such violation, we have only ourselves to blame, not the law. We are thus the artisans of our own future happiness or unhappiness. So who builds our happiness? Who builds our unhappiness? We do, ourselves. Nobody does that. It's personal, not transferable. I cannot build another person's happiness. I can do things that the person will feel happier, but if they say, no, 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 don't do this, I don't want to be happy at all, please go away, there's absolutely nothing we can do. It's a personal choice. So Allan Kardec says a couple of things more that I want to bring to you. God warns us at every moment whether we are doing wrong or right by sending us spirits to inspire us. However, we do not listen to them. So we have good spirits following or with us all the time. And they will be, inspiring us to this, do not do that. We have, we were given that. Guardian angels, whatever you want to call. We have good spirits with us. And Allan Kardec says, God gives us recourse through new lives to repair our past errors. That starts to change a little bit because from here we can go in a different direction on analyzing this thing. There is a tremendous tendency, which is not true at all, but it's a tendency to think that punishment comes from outside and reward comes from inside as a merit to an action. And there is no such a thing. It's like, punishment. Oh, I'm a victim because I was here doing nothing and something came from outside. Now I'm suffering. And a reward, it's something that is, me as a hero. Oh, I was able to get this thing done. I was able to achieve that. Punishments and rewards are earned assets. We earn them. We earn punishments, yeah. We earn rewards, sure, as a consequence of our actions. These are two things that we conquer. It doesn't mean that because we don't like punishments, in the sense of the word, that we did not earn it. The guy who is in prison because he did something wrong, he broke the law, he earned that. He achieved a condition that, you know, put him in jail. We all want rewards. We don't want punishments. However, think about this. We do not want punishments. We want rewards all the time. However, they both originate from the same source, which is the law. If I break it, punishment will come around. If I follow it, rewards are going to come around. So they all come from the same source. It's like, for example, I give you I don't know, a recipient with water, okay? Or we have a river. We have a river. That's nature. God gives us a river. I can use that water to save lives. Some people are thirsty, some people just need water or whatever. I can save lives with that water, or I can drown someone. So, water is not the reason why I save lives or the reason why I drown someone. Water is just a resource given to us by nature. It's what I do with that. So it's never about the source and who delivers that to us. It's about what we do when we receive that resource. So in that case, the law, right? When I receive that, here's the law. What I do with that, it's not, the law is not guilty of me breaking it. Or there's no merit in the law itself because I decided to follow it. No, no, no. The law is the law. As we advance spiritually, punishments becomes rewards. Punishments become rewards. Think about this. We are punished today, at least we feel this way. Tomorrow, the next day, the next day. At one point, I'm going to say, "Oh, I understand why I'm being punished because I'm doing this thing wrong. So from now on, I'm not going to do anything that wrong anymore. I'm going to do things right. So I will be rewarded." So punishment becomes rewards as we go along and think about our advancement, our spiritual advancement is gonna tell us at one point we're gonna understand that we made a lot of mistakes, and that's in the past. So now we are being rewarded. So if you think about it, punishment is a rudimentary form of reward because it's a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone. It's a guide telling us stop going this way, go the other way. So punishment is a form of reward. I'm getting something because of my actions, and that something is good overall, even if I don't see at that moment. It's still a very rudimentary form of reward. It's an incentive for us to grow rather than see this as like a stop sign in my itinerary. Oh, I'm going to sit here and not do anything anymore because I'm being punished. No, no, no. That's the other way around. This is what's going to trigger me to, oh, I got to do better than this. So punishments and rewards are nothing more than conditions that we emerge into based on our past actions. So we can feel punished all the time. We can feel, rewarded and punished alternately. But it's not because of anybody did something. It's not because the law is badly written. No, never. We have spoken about the spirit scale. I'm going to bring it back here. And we do this all the time because I think it's a great tool for us to understand, a lot of what Spiritism teaches us. So you can always go back to our program about the spirit scale. It's called Spiritist Hierarchy. So if you want to go back there, it's in our channel, it's YouTube. It's right here on Kardec Radio. Anyhow, coming back to the subject, spirits that are lower on the scale, on the shades of red, okay, spirits that are lower, they have the impression that there are punishments much more than rewards. Spirits in the green, shades of green, good spirits, they don't see that. They think there are more rewards than punishment. That's interesting because punishment is only down to the bottom of the scale. That's why it is a stepping stone. It allows us to scale up if we make good use of it. If we understand, first of all, what it means and make good use of it, we are going to climb from the bottom using the stepping stones, which are what we call punishments, because those are things that are coming back to tell us, hey, this is no good. You're not doing this thing right. Try again. You see, all of us, we come from the bottom of the scale, all of us, to the top. Nobody starts as pure. We all start as impure and we go up the scale. So if you think about it, we never start with a reward. We start with punishments, one after the other. As we go along, we start to, you know, comply more and more and more to the law so we don't have to be punished, quotes, all the time. So, in that sense, we can say that punishments are milestones. They're milestones. Each time I feel punished, it's a milestone. Okay, I achieved this point. Okay, what do I have to do from here? And we go like that, milestone after milestone. If you look at the whole thing overall, punishments sustain rewards because we do not start with rewards. We have to sustain a lot of punishment before we start getting rewarded. We just shouldn't give up. We have to understand it's a process. It requires work, dedication, devotion, and understanding of the law. So I know what to do, what not to do. And that law is where? In our conscience. Question 621 of the Spirit's book. So, food for thought. If you think you're being punished all the time for everything, what do you make out of it? Think about it. Take it home tonight. Food for thought. Thank you once again for joining us today for our talk about rewards and punishments. Okay, so I'll see you next time. Be well. Thanks so much.